There are great deals at Leaf Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle, Leaf Dodge Isuzu. How about a 1994 Plymouth Colt, just $10,199, or a 94 Jeep Cherokee, only $13,372, or check out the 1994 Isuzu pickup as low as just $97.95. These and hundreds of other great deals now at Leaf Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle, Leaf Dodge Isuzu. All prices plus tax, tags, and dock fee. Now at Leaf Highway 70 West, Goldsboro.
No matter how you look at it, a beautiful day coming up today. A lot of sunshine, a light breeze, and a high temperature, even warmer than yesterday. We should easily hit the low to mid-60s for highs this afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, lows 35 to 40. Partly sunny tomorrow, highs ranging from mid-50s along the North Carolina-Virginia border near Roxborough and Henderson. Southward around the Triangle area and the Rocky Mount Wilson area, highs will hit 60, and it'll be close to 70 farther south from Fayetteville and Clinton on southward. I'm Bill Schmidt at the Weather Center.
Are out in there. Some of the lights are out all over this place. Is it because of the excruciating heat? It's in the complex today. Hey, what? It is scorcher here today. Inside. But never mind, my friends. Cool as a cucumber I am, and I won't sweat it. Rush Limbaugh, the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, the epitome of positive. We're back. Another week of broadcast excellence is dead ahead.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America Held Hostage. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Counting the days of the raw deal, the Clinton presidency. Today is day 384 for the poor and the middle class. Day 403 for the rich and the dead. Day 1076. Or there are 1,076 days left for everybody to endure in the first term of the Clinton administration, which we've called a hostage crisis. Telephone number here, if you'd like to be on the program, 800-282-2882. Say, folks, you know, after the President's State of the Union show, I decided that what we would do would be to take as many excerpts from, we did this on television, as many excerpts of that speech that were lies and give you the corresponding truths that that really were, well, that did go along with the lies. He lied about various things to tell you the truth. Tony Snow has done that in his latest column, too, and there are a couple interesting ones in it, and I'm going to get to that today. Also, over the weekend, I saw, I guess it was last night, and this is not the first time I have seen this. There's a new wave out there of how to educate young girls in America, and that is put them in girl-only schools. Last night on ABC's World News Tonight Sunday, Carol Tintin did a report, or featured a report, which talked about that. And yesterday, USA Today Weekend, or USA Weekend, which is published here as part of the New York Daily News, it's USA Today's version of Parade magazine. Their cover story is how schools fail girls. It's about a new book documenting gender bias and controversial proposals for fixing it, from girls-only classes to new textbooks. And this is quite alarming to me, this notion of segregation in order to fix things. I think we've tried that in America. In other areas, have we not? And have we also, therefore, not discovered that it doesn't work? So that is coming up on the program today. But before any of that, I have to once again get to health care, because tomorrow is a big, big day in terms of the future of the Clinton health care plan. Tomorrow, the Congressional Budget Office, which is a government agency that keeps track of the costs of legislation. The chairman of the CBO is a guy named Robert Reischauer, and he tomorrow will announce the CBO's interpretation of the Clinton health care plan. As you know, we have discussed on several previous occasions the Clinton administration's desire that health care be off budget as opposed to on budget. And one of the reasons why they've wanted it off budget, one of the obvious reasons, there are many reasons, one of the obvious reasons is to hide the costs. And if you have this massive health care plan, but there is no record of its cost anywhere, then you can get away with spending a lot more. And plus, it will not count against any of the budget, and therefore it won't count against any of the budget deficit calculations. But more importantly than that, if the Clinton health care plan, with its 80% employer mandate, is considered off budget, then none of the revenue sources required to pay for health care can be called tax increases. If, on the other hand, the CBO says tomorrow that the health care plan must be on budget, it means something very simple, that the 80% employer mandate, which is designed to raise about $350 billion, must be considered a tax increase. This will, in effect, kill the Clinton health care plan. Tomorrow is a huge, huge day, and I urge you to pay, well, you don't have to pay attention to it because I will. When I pay attention to it, I'll tell you what's going on about it, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about it. But it's a very, very important day because the whole concept of off budget is going to be decided tomorrow. In my estimation, the Clintons lose either way. If Reischauer and the Congressional Budget Office say that the health care plan must be on budget, it means that Bill Clinton has just raised taxes more than at any time in American history to pay for health care. What they want everybody to think now is the only taxes that will be going up are going to be those funded by taxes on tobacco. But you see, an employer mandate, when the employer must contribute revenues to the government to pay for something, the question is that a tax? And to everybody's logical assumption or conclusion, yes. Whenever the federal government makes you send them money, you can call it what you want, but if it's off budget, they can get away with saying it's not a tax. If it's on budget, it most certainly is. And an 80% employer mandate, in other words, the government saying to employers, you're going to have to pay 80% of your employees' health care, and you're going to send the money to us, and then we're going to disperse it, that's a tax. And that is something the administration simply can't deal with. If it comes down to the fact that the health care plan is a $350 billion tax increase, then it's in effect dead, and Clinton is exposed as a very good architect of fraud and deceit. But let's say that the CBO decides to go ahead and grant the Clinton administration's wishes and say that the health care plan is off budget. People aren't going to stand for that. People are not going to sit there and have their intelligence insulted by being told that everything we're going to spend and every amount of money, every bit that we're going to raise to pay for it is off budget, shouldn't count in terms of federal income and outlay. So any way it goes, the Clinton administration has a tough PR sell. This is coming on the heels of three major business groups saying last week that they want no part of the Clinton health care plan. We had the Business Roundtable, the Chamber of Commerce, and then late last week, the National Association of Manufacturers. Now, you heard Clinton's response, that is nothing. This is just these business groups trying to negotiate. They're just laying out their first negotiating stance. In addition to all of this, there lurks a name that you have heard many times on this show, and if you are one who stays informed and endeavors to stay informed about the issues of the day, you've heard the name Elizabeth McCoy. Elizabeth McCoy is a constitutional scholar, the Manhattan Institute. Many have attempted to discredit her because she's conservative, but that is par for the course. Just being a conservative in America today is to be discredited about anything you think intellectually, so you let it bounce off your back and move on. Now, Elizabeth McCoy first came to public attention with a brilliant piece in the Wall Street Journal on the editorial page. Elizabeth McCoy is one who has read every page of the Clinton health care plan, 1,342 pages. And Elizabeth McCoy has analyzed what's in this plan and has exposed it in several articles since, culminating in a huge story in the New Republic, a cover story about 2 weeks ago. It basically laid out exactly where this plan is going to cost money, where this plan imposes price controls, where this plan denies the American people freedom. Every negative aspect of the health care plan has been exposed by Elizabeth McCoy. The administration hates her. The administration, you mention Elizabeth McCoy to Bill or Hillary Clinton, and they'll stop dead in their tracks and immediately begin a refutation of what she thinks. She clearly gets under their skin. She got under their skin so badly that the White House prepared a 3,000-word rebuttal to her New Republic story, and it was nasty. It was personal. It called her assertions false and deliberately misleading. But once you get past the anger and the personal attacks on her, you find pretty much that they are defending exactly what she says. And in the process of doing so, they end up substantiating what she says. So leave her aside for just a second. Keep the name Elizabeth McCoy in mind. And now try this story. Hillary Rodham Clinton went to Philadelphia. What is it? Is it today the 5th? What is to the 7th? So it was last week, I guess it was Friday, that I used to have a watch with the date on it. And I stepped up. I bought a new watch that was supposedly a step up, and there's no date on it. So I need a calendar. Make a note. Tell one of my underlings to get a calendar in here so that I don't have to ask people what the date is. Last Friday, Mrs. Clinton went to Philadelphia and made a typical speech for Mrs. Clinton. Once again, she launched salvos at the pharmaceuticals and insurance industries in what is a continuing pattern for her. She said, quote, "We are confusing the fact that we have the finest physicians and hospitals in the world with the fact that we have the stupidest financing system for health care in the world." Healthcare professionals were her audience, about 2,500 people there. She said the financing system's becoming the tail that wags the dog. The insurance companies are in charge and pick and choose who they cover. We are basically taking the billions and billions of dollars we spend on financing healthcare and dropping it in a black hole as far as I'm concerned. Well, I suggest this. We have a clear-cut difference in interpretation of the healthcare plan, do we not? We have Elizabeth McCoy, who is a constitutional scholar, who has read every word of the Clinton health care plan and has written extensively about it. And she has concluded that it is very, very bad. She has concluded that it does have price controls. She's concluded that it does set up these regional alliances. She has concluded that, among other things, this plan seeks to end private practice on the part of physicians. She has concluded that this plan, by virtue of its price controls, eliminates you being able to go to a doctor and hire him even after their health care plan is in effect. She has concluded that the plan does steer medical students away from specialization and into general practitionership. She has concluded a plethora of things that are anathema to freedom. And she is a constitutional scholar. On the other hand, you have Mrs. Clinton, who ostensibly wrote the plan with 500 to 700 bureaucrats, people who are not represented or representative of the healthcare industry at all. If you'll recall this task force of hers that nobody knew anything about, nobody knew the names, nobody knew who these people were, nobody knew their backgrounds for the longest time. They met in secret, and after enough pressure, it was discovered that the members of the task force were basically former staffers for members of Congress, that doctors were not represented, insurance companies were not represented, drug companies were not represented. So you have Mrs. Clinton, a graduate of Yale Law School and herself a lawyer, with her interpretation of this plan, and you have Elizabeth McCoy, who has studied every word and has her interpretation. I would like to suggest this. I would like to suggest that some medical group or a hospital or some other interested party offer to sponsor a forum where Mrs. Clinton and Elizabeth McCoy would both take the stage and explain their interpretations of the plan. If you'll note, Mrs. Clinton only ever speaks alone. Mrs. Clinton never takes on somebody who is equally as intelligent as she. She never answers questions from the audience that I have ever seen. She never takes on anybody who is in opposition to her plan. Given what we have seen in recent court trials in this country, I think it is important that whoever it is that takes issue with Mrs. Clinton be a woman. I hate to sound sexist about it. It may sound sexist to some of you, but Elizabeth McCoy seems to be among the most qualified to debate this plan. Mrs. Clinton is clearly the architect of this plan. If you doubt that, simply revisit Jay Rockefeller's anger when the president told governors that he opposed any of the price control provisions. And of course, Rockefeller says, what do you mean you oppose price control provisions? They're in your plan. You wrote the plan. Maybe you should go talk to your wife, President Clinton, about what's in that plan. So if you doubt that she's the primary architect, all you need to do is listen to several of the Democratic senators who have expressed anger at President Clinton over this. If there's no hospital group, if there's no medical association to do this, I'd offer my program. I would like Mrs. Clinton and Elizabeth McCoy to come here to this radio program for as long as it takes and just let them discuss the plan. I'll stay out of it. I'll just give them the show and let them discuss, because we clearly have two different interpretations, very intelligent women and both lawyers, both legal scholars. Mrs. Clinton from Yale and Elizabeth McCoy on the staff of the Manhattan Institute. And you couldn't have two more disparate views of a proposed piece of legislation than we have now. So I think that it's about time that Mrs. Clinton respond personally to some of the critics rather than simply go out and attack the drug companies and the insurance companies as she is wont to do, and attack anybody who disagrees, which is basically what she does. If you disagree with her, you're not allowed to. Remember what she did to the insurance agencies after they ran those TV ads. They still are running those ads. She had a fit on television, and the basic premise of her fit was, how dare they disagree with me? And then not tell anybody who they are. And we carefully on our TV show showed you that the insurance agencies identify themselves very plainly at the end of those ads. So keep a sharp eye. CBO tomorrow. Is this going to be a tax increase or not? I don't think Clinton wins either way they come out. I expect the CBO to say it's got to be on budget. Robert Reichauer has got to care about his place in history as well. Then Elizabeth McCoy and Hillary Clinton, if nowhere else, on this show. We will be back after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
My friends, I've told you about a charter advertiser of ours for the longest time, the Conservative Chronicle. They have been with us since the beginning of this show. Weekly publication. It features 58 of the country's top conservative columnists and cartoonists. I've also told you that many newspapers don't carry conservative columnists and how you'd be missing the writings of the most important conservative pundits of the day unless you read the Conservative Chronicle. Well, I urge you people to subscribe, and if you had listened to me, you would have read one of the most powerful columns ever written. William Safire's eye-opening observations of Bobby Ray Inman and his nomination for Secretary of Defense. And he's just one columnist you'll enjoy reading every week in the Conservative Chronicle. If you don't have the Chronicle, you got to read the New York Times to get Safire, and most people don't. You'll also enjoy Buckley, Buchanan, George Will, and others. Now with your credit card, call 800-888-3039 to subscribe. Don't miss out again. 80 cents a week gets you the Conservative Chronicle. Call now, 800-888-3039.
Imagine meeting 50 people and remembering all their names, having a photographic memory and recalling virtually everything you see, hear, or even think about. Kevin Trudeau, founder of the American Memory Institute, brings you the easy-to-learn Mega Memory. Increase your own memory 500% or more guaranteed. As seen on TV, over 1 million people now benefit from the Mega Memory Home Study Course. Call 1-800-862-MEGA today and receive a 50% discount. That's 1-800-862-MEGA. 1-800-862-MEGA.
There are great deals at Leaf Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle Leaf Dodge Isuzu. How about a 1994 Dodge Caravan, only $16,961, or a 94 Dodge Shadow, only $91,995. Check out the 94 Dodge Dakota Club Cab, as low as just $15,995. All prices plus tax, tags, and dock fee now at Leaf Chrysler Plymouth Jeep Eagle Leaf Dodge Isuzu, plus hundreds of others to choose from now at Leaf, Highway 70 West, Goldsboro. You'll have to excuse my friends. They just got great deals on waterbeds at Dream Makers, and they couldn't wait to try them out. Dream Makers has exactly what you need for a good night's sleep, including a complete line of bedding accessories, and the prices are so good, they won't keep you awake either. My friends here can tell you what Dream Makers can do, and I guess they are. Try them and see. Dream Makers, 1003 Berkeley Boulevard, Goldsboro.
Visa presents a cure for the winter cold.
Down along Miami Beach, there's a sweet little spot where sunbathers aren't the only ones roasting, and dipping isn't just for the ocean. It's Poppin' Cottage Candies, a turn-of-the-century candy store where hand-dipped turtles move faster than lightning and cherry bombs explode in your mouth. So bring your sweet tooth and your Visa card, because Poppin' Cottage will take you where marshmallow balls are as popular as beach balls, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Hi, I'm Joe Whitten, horticultural expert, inviting you to listen weekend mornings here on WGBR for the National Lawn and Garden Report. Green thumb or not, you'll discover many useful and fascinating facts about your lawn and garden. We'll be here to answer your questions every weekend morning on 1150 WGBR.
WGBR.
Guess what? Whoopi Goldberg hosts the Academy Awards. I guess they decided, after considering Larry King, that he wouldn't do. He's just too funny a guy, probably would upstage the movies with his great sense of humor. And I guess they couldn't trust Sally Jesse Raphael either to not disrespect all the award winners and say she didn't agree with all of them. Did you, by the way, you people got mad at me last week and the week before when I suggested, after the most recent Menendez hung jury, I said that maybe it's about time to consider keeping women off juries where the accused is a stud. Did you see what one of Sally Jesse Raphael's topics was last week? You think I make this stuff up, and you think that these daytime television shows, or you think I'm just an agitator. This is how I'm going to illustrate to you that there is a point to be made even when I am at my most irreverent. Last week, one of the topics on Sally Jesse Raphael's talk show was women who would leave their husbands to marry a Menendez. Women who would leave their husbands to, and they found some, ladies and gentlemen. They found them. Now, don't tell me that when I sit here and make these conclusions that I am simply being insensitive and so forth. I am simply responding to what I think is a tremendous amount of idiocy that exists out there. Something else that must be explained. As you know, the stock market plummeted Friday after hearing news that the Federal Reserve is going to raise the short-term interest rate up 1/4 percentage point. And the media is once again misreporting stock market crashes or stock market declines, and I'm going to have to put this in proper perspective for you, which we'll do after the break, and then we'll get into your phone calls too. Be patient. We'll be right back.
Are you spending double what you need to for your life insurance? Find out. American Republic Insurance Company, rated A+ by AM Best, offers lowest cost term life insurance you buy direct from the company. $1 a day buys a 35-year-old man $355,000 of coverage. Rates guaranteed level for 10 years. Tell us your age and the amount you need. We'll send a no-obligation quote immediately. Stop overspending. Call 1-800-901-LIFE. That's 1-800-901-LIFE. Available in most states. This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
This is Wayne Alley. Wayne Elections Board Secretary Frances Whitfield says as far as she knows, there's been no formal complaint filed with the Board of Elections regarding the physical residency of Sherman Best, who has filed for the District 97 House seat, which is currently held by Attorney Jerry Braswell.
I had talked with the supervisor, and she told me that Board Parker was looking into the matter, but that she had no formal complaint. She had nothing in writing. Therefore, there's nothing for our board to act on. There's nothing to be scheduled because there's nothing to act on.
Elections Board Secretary Frances Whitfield. Incumbent Jerry Braswell has filed seeking re-election to that seat. He understands that candidates who have filed could withdraw before the filing deadline, and that other candidates could file before that deadline.
I am aware that in order to initiate a procedure to inquire into the residency status of Sherman Best, it will be necessary that a complaint be filed. I think perhaps it's a little bit premature at this point until that filing deadline arrives to speculate as to whether or not someone may in fact challenge his residency requirement.
House District 97 incumbent Jerry Braswell. There was no let-up in the random firing of firearms in Goldsboro over the weekend. Quentin Smith of Lincoln Drive told officers he heard a pop noise while he and his son were in the back room of his residence and later discovered a hole in the door. Smith found it was a bullet hole and that it went through the screen door, a metal door, and through the couch, exiting the couch, and entered the wall inside the house. No injuries were reported. Michael N. Moore of Cashwell Drive told officers someone fired into his residence with a handgun. A front window and screen were damaged, but the bullet did not enter the residence. Also, Mary Ann Tripp of Fairmax Road told sheriff's officers someone fires weapons in the woods behind her home every weekend. She reminded officers she reported finding a bullet hole through the rear of her house January 1st, and the shooting is still occurring every weekend. The Wayne County Board of Education is still waiting for a report from a second groundwater sample taken since the removal of a 7,500-gallon tank from the school bus garage site. The first groundwater sample indicated contamination. If the second sample indicates groundwater contamination, Assistant Superintendent Pete Gurley said a $20,000 to $30,000 or greater expenditure would be required to correct the problem depending upon the extent of the contamination. I'm Wayne Alley.
No matter how you look at it, a beautiful day coming up today. A lot of sunshine, a light breeze, and a high temperature, even warmer than yesterday. We should easily hit the low to mid-60s for highs this afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, lows 35 to 40. Partly sunny tomorrow, highs ranging from mid-50s along the North Carolina-Virginia border near Roxborough and Henderson. Southward around the Triangle area and the Rocky Mount-Wilson area, highs will hit 60, and it'll be close to 70 farther south from Fayetteville and Clinton on southward. I'm Bill Schmidt at the Weather Center.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Rush Limbaugh radio program. Now being heard by the men, women, and those who don't ask and don't tell in uniform worldwide via the Armed Forces radio and television service.
And happy to have them. We are, all of them, here at the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. In addition to them, we have our 640 domestic radio stations, United States and Guam, and the EIB World Service at 15.420 megahertz. Well, you had a great weekend. This is the first weekend since December 10th that I was in New York and just vegged. I just, for the first time in, what would that be, almost a month and a half, just sat around and had actually a relaxing weekend like most of you people have. Boy, did I get the most of it. My couch got a workout, let me tell you. I mean, I sat there and 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 then I sat there and then I got up and came back and sat there. It was, I love doing nothing. I so seldom get the chance to do nothing that I do nothing very well when I get the chance. Also, on Friday afternoon, I went over and you know, Bob Costas has become a friend. And he is wrapping up his stint as host of his late-night show on NBC called Later. And they've asked him to extend it a couple of weeks to February 25th before the new guy replacing him takes over, because the new guy is going to originate the show out in Los Angeles, and the earthquake there has caused them to delay the production of Later with the new guy for a couple of weeks. So I ran into Costas at the Super Bowl, and they had asked me if I would come back during December. December I was overloaded, And I had to say no then. So he asked me on the sidelines of the Super Bowl, hey, would you come by and do one more? I said, yeah, I will. Now I've got time, and I'm not as anti-press now as I was then. So I went by there Friday afternoon with the intention of doing 35 minutes that they would then cut down to about 23 that would be their show. And an hour and 20 minutes later, instead of doing 35 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes later, Costas said, you know, we got to make this a deuce. We got to make it a deuce. Meaning we got to make 2 shows out of this. It really was good. I must tell you that I've done a lot of interviews, and I think that in terms of television interviews, this was maybe the best. I really hope that they are able to turn this into a deuce. Now, the reason they may not be able to turn it into a deuce is they got every night scheduled from now until the end of Costas' tenure as host, February 25th. And Bruce Kornbluth, who's the producer, is sitting there, and then Costas saying, hey, we got a deuce here. And I don't know what we're going to do, Bob. We got every day scheduled. So I said, just let me see who you've got scheduled. I'll tell you who to cancel. I'll tell you who nobody wants to see. They wouldn't do that. But I hope Costas is able to lobby for a deuce on this, because it was good. Let me do the stock market thing before we go to the phones here, and we'll get to the phones very quickly. In 1987, remember the stock market crash of 1987? I think there was a 500-point drop, and everybody. You don't remember this, Mr. Snurton? You don't remember this? No, it was 87. Big crash in 87. I was still in Sacramento when it happened. In fact, I was in London on one of those celebrity tours. There were myself and about 100 eager listeners had flown to London, and we were over there. It always happens. When I leave, when I am not here, something big happens. It's always been the case with my career, always. Either a major Supreme Court decision or Vince Foster suicide or so. Whenever I'm not here, something, all Gulf War, when the war started, I was not here. Something always major happened. And that stock market crash of 87. Now, this may come as a surprise to you, but the media misreported the stock market crash of 1987, and they still haven't got it right. They called that day Black Monday, but it was not the beginning of a down move in the stock market. That crash, the day in 87 that everybody remembers, was the last day of the down move, and as such was a great day to buy stocks. There's always a positive and a silver lining when the stock market goes down. It went down 97 points on Friday, so everybody got up today saying, oh gosh, what's going to happen? They looked at the markets over the weekend, and did the world follow our downward trend? And yes, the world did. And was the market going to be down today? And oh no, can America survive? And the panic set in. The market was already down 500 points from late August to October in 1987, and Black Monday was the last day, the panic day, and that ended it. The very next day, the market started going back up. So the smart money bought stocks that day. So the media cannot get over Black Monday now. The media, as you know, if you've looked at reports on the stock market drop on Friday, they just can't wait to go back to the last time it was dismal and dark and doom and gloom, and the end of America was near, and could it be 1929 all over again, and will rich three-piece suited Wall Street guys jump out of their windows in Wall Street and die? Yes, we hope so, because we hate rich guys. And that's the underlying theme as the media reports this. Well, history shows us that the close on Black Monday was not the worst day. It's not the worst day. It was the best day to buy stocks. And since then, what's happened? The market has just skyrocketed to new record after new record after new record. And even with the gift of hindsight, even if you can look back now, I mean, the history is history. You don't have to predict anything about what happened. We know what happened. They still aren't getting it right. They're still portraying what happened in 1987 as horrible and terrible, instead of looking at it as positive. A new low was hit, not a new low, but an opportunity to buy stocks. People, the biggest thing that ever happened for the stock market was that decline. So here's the point. if anything untoward is going to happen to the stock market, and I'm not saying it is or isn't because I don't know, I can't predict this, what we have now is the beginning of it, not the end. You understand that? If it's going to go lower, it's going to go lower. This is just the beginning of whatever decline there's going to be. And the decline may take some months to happen, if there is a decline. And the decline may feature 3 or 4 days where it comes back up 10 or 20 points and then loses some more. There have been a lot of people that were expecting the Buffalo Bills to win simply because they expect the stock market to go down. When AFC teams win the Super Bowl, the market always goes down a little bit. The Bills didn't win, but the market is due for a correction. Some people say, as I say, I'm not predicting anything. I wouldn't even begin to try. Besides, there are enough people out there who are. But if it is headed down, this is the beginning of it. That's all. And it's not possible for it to happen in 94, what happened in 29 anyway. So, no, it didn't cause the recession. The stock market, the little 500 plummet in 87 did cause a recession? Didn't cause the recession. The 1990 budget deal caused the recession. Oh, well, what they're saying in New York. Now, see, here you go with the whole selfishness of New York. There may have been a recession in New York because of the stock market crash in 87, only because so many Wall Street people were thrown out of work, and so restaurants didn't have as many customers. But it was. I mean, if there was a recession in New York, the stock market crash would have manifested itself that way, but not in the sense you mean it, Mr. Snerdley. Was there a recession brought on by the devaluation of stock? No. It may have been that just a lot of people lost their jobs, and so they didn't have expense account money to go to 21. And Le Cirque and Sign of the Dove and Café des Artistes and so forth. So those people, man, the business is really sound. But you talk to the Korean grocers, and if it weren't for a line of 50 black guys standing in front of the store, business would have been fine, whether the stock market crashed or not. So it's just that simple. That's simple. There is so much to talk about here today. I mean, Perot had a meeting over the weekend. Jim Cooper went down there. Jim Inhofe went down there. Gephardt, most partisan speech yet in front of the National Press Club on Friday, in which he attacked people criticizing the health care plan. A lot of op-ed pieces have been written about the Menendez juries, which back up exactly what I've been saying about the Menendez juries. And plus there are your phone calls. I want to get into Tony Snow's analysis, too, of Clinton's State of the Union show, in which he chronicles some of the falsehoods Clinton told. Plus, as I say, your calls, which we'll get started with right after this. Don't go away.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Well, the February issue of the Limbaugh Letter is in the mail, and it is a great one. It's the special State of the Union issue, and you have to see the cover. It's an extreme close-up of me showing my reaction to the events which have occurred since the Clintons moved into the White House. And the information inside this issue is indispensable. First, you get the facts on the White Watergate affair. Researchers from the Limbaugh Institute have put together the chronology of events and the list of the key players and the key details. Keep track of key questions in this controversy to see if the Clintons ever answer them. And then there's a commentary on the frightening disarming of America. You have to read this. And this month's collection of stupid quotes. We got some great ones from Ted Kennedy and the Reverend Jackson. Call 1-800-457-4141. You get a year, 12 issues, for the low rate of $29.95. And if you order now, you still receive free my official 1994 Rush poster calendar. Get a subscription now. Call 800-457-4141. Make that call.
Buick Skylarks from 99.80.
Yeah, right.
Buick Centuries from 10,450.
Sure. Who believes that? And what about the rest of the story? You'll have to haggle with the salesperson. You'll only get a good price if you're really lucky. They'll only give you $100 in trade. Sounds familiar, right? Not at Courtesy Buick in Goldsboro. We sell cars a different way, a better way. The no-hassle way, with our best bottom-line prices marked right on a great selection of program cars. At Courtesy, Skylark program cars really are priced from $99.80, Regals from $11,980, Park Avenues from just $18,950. And at Courtesy in Goldsboro, you don't have to negotiate or hassle over price ever. Shop for your next car the no-hassle way. At Courtesy Buick on Highway 70 East Bypass in Goldsboro, the only no-hassle Buick dealer in North Carolina. Tax tags and $129 dock fee are extra.
McCall's Barbecue and Seafood in Goldsboro invites you out to feast on their nighttime buffets. Just one taste is all it takes. Monday and Tuesday nights, it's the seafood buffet. Wednesday and Thursday nights, the country buffet. And Friday and Saturday night, everyone's favorite, the seafood buffet. McCall's Barbecue and Seafood specializes in delicious wood-cooked barbecue pork. Serve fresh daily plus much, much more. McCall's has it all. McCall's Barbecue and Seafood, Highway 70 and 111 in Goldsboro.
Need furniture? Need credit? Need them now? Waynesboro Furniture has a plan that will answer those questions and more, with special pay plans for those who need it now, including military E1 and up. Contact Waynesboro Furniture and find out how you can get automatic approval and quick delivery without delay. Living room, dining room, bedroom furniture, and mattresses. Buy now, delivery now, and pay later. Get complete details at Waynesboro Furniture, your mattress outlet, 119 North Center Street, downtown Goldsboro.
Remember, my friends, evidence refutes liberalism. You hear it done each day. We provide the evidence right here on the Rush Limbaugh program. And now, as promised, the phones will start in Dallas with Pat. Hello, sir. I'm glad you called. Welcome to the EIB Network.
Hello, Rush.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about why the people in the administration say that there's a need for reform of health care.
Yeah.
If you cut through all the Barbara Streisand, what they tell you is 14% of the gross national product is absolutely too much to use for medical care. It's driving us into the poorhouse. That's what they say. And my complaint and my problem is that nobody substantively disagrees with that point. And the AMA has turned into the Weemsco tuna poster boys, that they've just bent over and said, do whatever you want to towards us. And my point is that, conservatively, the medical industry probably employs somewhere between 10 and 14% of the workforce. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me that if 14% of the workforce or thereabouts is being employed, what's wrong with 14% of the gross national product going into that? For the 14%, remember, we have nurses that are employed, people in the insurance company are employed, we have salesmen employed, both medical equipment and pharmaceutical representatives. We've got hospitals, people in hospitals that are being employed, in doctors' offices that are being employed. We're getting a whole lot of benefit from 14% of our gross national product. And nobody, save very few, are really disagreeing in substance with.
I agree. Well, you're right, but you're talking to somebody who has been on this high horse since the beginning. Philosophical opposition to this plan has to be the way to assault this plan. We don't need a bunch of people who want to agree with various concepts. For example, if there's anybody out there who says, I have a better way of providing universal coverage, we don't want that plan either. We don't want to side with anybody who says, I have a better way of universal coverage. We want to defeat the concept of universal coverage, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason we want to is for social and moral reasons. Yes, moral reasons. It is simply immoral for the greatest nation on earth to raise more and more people who believe that their government should take care of them. It is immoral for government leaders to lead people to believe that they can be taken care of best by government. Let's go back to 1965. I love this analogy, this method of attempting to be persuasive. Let's say it's 1965 and Lyndon Johnson has just proposed the war on poverty. If I would have been on the radio in 1965, at this current age, level of education, and understanding of liberalism and government behavior when controlled by Democrats, I would have said that the war on poverty is going to produce a constant underclass, that we're going to create a dependent class of people in this country, that we are going to ruin the family, We are going to see to it that the prosperity that the war on poverty is designed to bring will actually never occur, and in fact, will seek to actually see to it that that prosperity will never ever happen. If I would have said all those things with the war on poverty, what would they have said? The same thing that's being said to you're a racist, you're a rich guy and you don't care about anybody else and you've got yours and you don't want to pay any more taxes, you're selfish, and you are making unfair claims of socialism and all this. Yet I would have been right, is the point. 1965, in talking to you about the war on poverty, I would have been dead right. It is now 1994, 30 years later, and we have another version of the war on poverty here under this guise of health care. And I am telling you that what is going on with health care and the attempts being made by this administration to sell health care have the same grandiose compassion, the same notions, and the same goals as Lyndon Johnson announced in 1965 with his war on poverty. Now, we know what's happened. The war on poverty was an abject failure. There has been over $3 trillion transferred from the producers to the non-producers, and what we've done is created a permanent underclass. We have destroyed the families of many of our citizens in the lower socioeconomic groups. We have taken God out of classrooms. That actually began in 1963. And we have done everything the opposite of what was intended, the war on poverty. And I am here to tell you today that the health care plan of 1994 is the identical thing as the war on poverty was of Lyndon Johnson in 1965. And now all of those who oppose this health care plan are being called people who are not compassionate. We're being called bigoted and selfish. They accuse us of misrepresenting and misstating the intentions. We would have been right, and I would have been right in 65 if I'd have been my age with my degree of understanding of government back then, just as you and I who think what we think about health care and universal coverage are right today. And this is the thing that is most puzzling to me, is why the history of this country, recent history, of government agencies expanding to take care of all people, how the recent failures are simply ignored, and the effort to try again is so easily accepted. And so easily accepted simply when somebody who makes you think they care, and they're so compassionate, comes forth with the idea. That's why I say, I make this call again, the AMA, any other hospital group, medical group, interested, League of Women Voters, I don't care who it is, rent a hall, get Elizabeth McCoy there, and get Hillary Clinton there. Two legal scholars with totally different interpretations of the health care plan, and let them discuss it. One of them has to be wrong. One of them has to be wrong big time, because they don't agree about much of anything that is in this plan. And let's find out who's wrong. And well, we already know who's wrong. Mrs. Clinton's wrong. President Clinton is wrong. And they will not take this challenge on, I'll wager, because they do